Okay, so you're PCSing down in Jacksonville, whether it be NAS Mayport or Naval Station Jacksonville, or maybe even up to Kings Bay, Georgia. You're coming here, you have no idea what the area looks like. This is a huge question that we get, so we're going to answer what is it like to PCS? Where should you live? What are the schools like? What's the lifestyle? What kind of BAH could you expect? What kind of rent prices? What sale prices can you expect if you're going to buy? So this is going to be an all-encompassing soup to nuts type of video. It's going to be long, and if you'll hang in there to the end, what I'll do is I'll show you some pretty cool things and ways to save thousands of dollars if you're going to buy a home, or even get military discounts if you're going to rent. So stick with me, and we're going to jump into it. All right, so Mario Gonzalez here. We are going through the military relocation guide here for Naval Station Mayport primarily. We're going to mention NAS Jax, and we're also going to mention Kings Bay a little bit, but we really want to focus on Mayport. And again, we're going to talk about how long it takes to commute, lifestyle, how much it costs to live there, either to rent or to buy. We can talk a little bit about resale things, and we'll just kind of go all the way through it. All right, so let's first of all, let me kind of show you a graphic as to where NAS Jacksonville are and where Naval Station Mayport is. So Mayport is up in the northeast corner of the city, if you will. Jacksonville is the largest landmass city in the continental United States. So it's a big place. So Naval Station Mayport and NAS Jax are about 45 minutes apart from one another, and they're, on different corners here. So I'm going to primarily focus everything right now as to discussions to where Mayport is, but I'll talk about different areas where you're going to be buying homes, and I'll even show them on this map. So we're going to refer to this map several different times. So why don't we just jump in? We'll talk about the beaches area. This is Atlantic Beach, Jacksonville Beach, Ponte Vedra Beach, basically up and down the eastern seaboard there we have. Now for the beaches area, you can see it, I've got it circled on the map. Pretty simple. What does it look like to live there? Well, your cost of living is going to be a little bit higher, but there's some pros and cons to that. First and foremost, your commute. Your commute is going to be awesome to Mayport. It is strictly a straight shot. You're looking at 10 to 20 minutes, even if you're down in the southern part of the beaches here, to get up there, even in traffic, which is fantastic. Now, let's talk about the schools. Your schools, the elementary schools, are really strong. Your middle and high school there are average, we would say. But a lot of people will actually make the commute and from like the intercoastal area, which we'll talk about, they'll come over to the beaches to get their kids plugged into middle school and high school over here. So it's a good place to have your kids in school. What's the lifestyle like? Well, it's much like you'd think any type of beaches. It is the coastal living, right? The beach, the waves, the bikes, your hair back. A lot of folks running around in bathing suits, a lot of tans. It is definitely a coastal lifestyle. Now, you're going to pay a little bit more premium pricing there, so you're going to pay a little bit more, but you'll see that people that live on there, they love the outdoor activities. There's a lot of outdoor dining, a lot of coffee spots to drink outside, a lot of bars that have outside areas, a lot of people biking around, a lot of people walking, super safe day and night. They have huge firework displays out there for New Year's and 4th of July. It's a fantastic place to live, whether you're single, got friends, family, you name it, it's all there. Now, if you're going to buy, let's talk about this. How much is the price is going to be? Again, it's going to be a little bit more. So you're looking probably to start in there, even in your smaller homes, probably about $350,000 to $700,000 plus. There's condos and there's homes closer to the beach that are over $1 million. So just know that the closer you get to the beach, and if you are waterfront, you're going to pay some significant prices. But you can get in there for, $350,000, $400,000 if you're going to buy. Now, if you're going to rent in BAH, now we know that BAH in Jacksonville, the surrounding areas, they from about E5 up to O5, it runs from about $1,800 to about $3,200, $3,300 a month. So you really have to be cognizant of that if you're going to rent or buy. So what does it look like if you're going to rent a place there in the beaches? Well, kind of your average 3-2 is going to run you $2,000 up. We see the majority of the renters there renting somewhere between $2,000 and $4,000. Now, again, if you get to that beachfront condo, you're going to be paying some more. But that's pretty much a summation of what the beaches look like. Now, let's move into our second area. So the second area, let's call it the south side. The south side is a large area. It is to the south of a lot of the kind of east-west streets that we have there. We have three main, we have Atlantic Boulevard, Beach Boulevard, and then what we call JTB or J. Turner Butler. That's the 202 that you see there in the middle of the map. So the south side really encompasses a pretty large area there, and a ton of folks live there. So this is kind of like the best of all worlds, centrally located. So let's just talk about some of the pieces there in the south side. So your commute, again, if you're going to Mayport, that's what we're talking about, your commute is going to be about 20 to 30 minutes depending upon traffic. In those high traffic days, you're going to have a lot of people going both ways, so there is going to be some traffic there. When you talk about the schools, so this is all in, Southside is all in Duval County, and they have arguably the best schools, elementary, middle school, and the high schools that are in Duval County. So a lot of people, if they're living in Duval, because they want that close commute, you're going to get the best bang for the buck for the schools there in kind of the south side area. Now let's talk about the lifestyle. It's very popular with the military. Again, it's very popular with a lot of the working class because it's basically centrally located. You can go just a short drive, 15 minutes you're down in the city, 15 minutes you're out at the beaches. Like we were saying here, 20 minutes you're at the beaches. Parks out there towards the beach. There's a lot to do, and it's very easy to commute from the south side wherever you're going. You can head, south and do things. You can head north. It's very, very simple. So very central to the city, central to all of Jacksonville, and a lot of people, very high density of homes there. So you're not going to get a lot of new construction there because there's just not room to build so much. So you're going to buy a house that's already been lived in. But you have great shopping, great dining, and easy commute to everything. We have the St. John's Town Center down there. That is probably the central shopping extravaganza, if you will, in that area. And people come far and wide to go to the town center. There's everything, every type of commercial thing, either restaurants and shops that you want down there. Okay, so what does it cost to live there? Well, your cost price is going to be a little bit cheaper than the beaches. You can still get in around $300,000, but probably $300,000 to $400,000, $450,000 is what you're looking for the average and the median price in there to buy. So your 3 or 4 bedroom home. You can buy more, and you can buy more expensive, but that's where the bulk of the homes are going to be. Also, for your BAH and your rent concerns here, then you're going to see that your rent is going to be about $1,900 to $2,800, but as you, depending upon the size of the home that you get and actually how new the home is. So the newer homes are going to be a little bit more expensive than the older homes, but you can still get a very quality home there in the south side. So just as a recap, a lot of military people, centrally located, you can get everywhere, and it's good for singles or families, it doesn't matter. Now let's look at our third area. So the third area is what we're going to call Arlington. So this is north of South Side. Some folks, the eastern side of Arlington, I'll speak slow because the eastern side of Arlington is actually referred to as Intercoastal West. Now, I didn't break this up, but there is an intercoastal highway that you'll see waterway that's going north and south. It runs parallel to the beach line there, the shoreline. And if you go from the beaches over that intercoastal waterway, then you're in Intercoastal West, but you're at the edge of Arlington. So I just put Arlington there as a big group. And again, that's kind of on the northern side of Atlantic Boulevard and in and around there. So what does it look like to be in Arlington? So if you want to be close to the bases, so this is as close as you can get to the base at Naval Station Mayport for the most economic piece. So let's look at this. You're looking at about, on the commute side, 15 to 25 minutes. Very easy to get there. It's basically a straight shot. They actually improved all the roadways going to the base from there when they were going to bring a carrier to Mayport. Now, we had a carrier once upon a time, but we don't anymore. There's an amphib, but not quite the same. Anyway, when we were going to bring more carriers down here, we Jacksonville, basically updated all the roads and the infrastructure to feed that carrier. So you have a pretty easy commute if you're coming from that area. Okay, moving on. As far as the schools, you kind of have a mixed quality, a mixed bag there. It is average all the way from elementary to the high schools, and you also have some better and some worse in there. But a lot of people, let me also mention this, and I haven't mentioned this before, but I'll mention it right now. As a military member, you get priority into what's called Jacksonville's Magnet Program. What does that mean? If you're willing to drive your family or your kids anywhere, you can basically plug them into any magnet school they can get involved in, and you get priority seating in that, which is pretty awesome because we have some of the top college feeder and specialty schools in the southeast, actually in Jacksonville. We can hit all those on a different video. Okay, so let's talk about the lifestyle. The lifestyle, you've got old homes, so homes built in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and then you also have new construction homes that were built, literally there's some that are still being built in the last 10 years. So you have a mix of the old and the new. So you can really pick as to what you want. Now the price point is going to vary there, but it is very budget friendly for you to do there. And probably the biggest thing, as I said at the beginning, it's an easy commute just about everywhere. Just like Southside, how it's kind of centrally located, so is Arlington. It's actually faster to get to the beach from there. It's faster to get downtown, like the stadium and the concert venues, that type of thing. All right, what does it cost to buy there? You can get into homes in Arlington down in the low 200s. So you can buy at like 200, 220, and then up to about 350, the median homes. Now you can get better, you can get worse. But for kind of starter homes or just kind of entry-level homes, you can get them down there at a very economic price. Same thing with if you're going to rent here. If you're going to rent in this area, your BAH is going to go much further because you can start renting a 3-bedroom home or even a lot of the condos at about $1,500 a month and go up to about $2,300 for the average. It's a great place to live. So that pretty much wraps up the Arlington area. It's like Southside, schools maybe a little bit lesser than what we were in the South Side because there's a lot of really good schools there, but a lot of bang for your buck there. Now let's look at the next area. All right, let's talk about St. John's. Everybody wants to talk about St. John's. So St. John's is another county, and again, this is south of the South Side, so it's even further down, and we have entered another county here. So we've left from Duval up north, we're down into St. Johns County. Now, this is where a lot of people are moving, but you're gonna pay a premium here. Let's look at the commute. If you're stationed up there at Mayport, unfortunately, it's going to be at a bit of a drive. It is 30 to 45 minutes. There's really only 1 or 2 feeder routes north that are gonna come this way. There's just a lot of traffic in the morning as everybody who lives there is coming north to work in the city, just like you would be. Likewise, going home at 5 o'clock, you're gonna feel that as well. Not as bad on the weekends, but still it is pretty condensed there. Now, the schools. This is the #1 reason that people move to St. John's, and it is because of the school districts. Almost everything down there is A-rated. They are the top in the area, and a lot of people will relocate, especially as their families grow. They'll move from the South Side or Arlington area, and they'll move down to St. John's just for their kids primarily. Now, what is the lifestyle like? Again, you're going to get a premium pricing. You're going to see a lot of electric vehicles down there. You're going to see a lot of new cars. You're going to see a lot of folks running around in golf carts, high-end water parks. So the HOAs are very tight down there. Again, the HOA water parks, there's 4 or 5 slides at some of these things, and they have the double wide, like Nocatee has the big double wide sidewalk that goes everywhere, and it was actually made for golf carts, and you'll see tons of people running around with their golf carts down there. These are what we call master planned communities, which means they have so many residential homes, they have so much shopping, and they have so many schools. They're master planned, and they have to keep these ratios specific. I don't know what all they are at the top of my head, but they're very specific. So you're not going to get overcrowded schools, and there's going to be enough shopping for that. There's still a lot of room to grow down there, so we see a lot of expansion down there, and a lot of people moving. Now, let's talk about the price. As I mentioned, it's going to be a premium. So to buy down there, your starting level is probably almost $500,000. So probably around $450,000, and then you're going to see the median is up there, coming up to about $800,000. So that's where you're going to see the bulk of homes there, but there's also $1 million homes. If you want your 4 or 5, 6 bedroom home with a pool and a nice little plot and a private community, then you're going to get up there in the $1 million homes very, very quickly. But there's still a lot of homes being built down there, so people have the ability to customize the homes as they want them. Now, as far as BAH and rent goes, again, there's not really an entry level that's very low cost down there. You're going to look at like $2,500 to about $4,500 is where the majority of the 3 and 4 bedrooms sit. Going to be more if you get more amenities and more if you get the larger homes with the nicer things. All right, that wraps up the St. John's area. Let's move on to the next. Let's talk about the north side. So I'm going to combine both the northwest and the northeast sides combined. This is basically over all the bridges. You'll see we're called the City of Bridges for a reason. There's a bunch of them. So when you go north of the bridges, you're going to see a lot of things happen. So what you're going to see primarily is you're going to see a lot of expansion, a lot of newer homes, and your dollar is going to go further there. So now the commute to Mayport is going to be not as much as down there in St. John's. It's going to be a little shorter, so we're talking 20 to 25 minutes to get over to Mayport. However, you have to go over the bridges. And talk slow on this as well. You have to go over the bridges. So if there are problems on the bridges, you're going to have delays. You just are. I would just kind of plan for once a week. You're going to have some sort of delay, and that 25-minute transit is going to take you about 45 minutes. It's just part of living up there. However, what do we see as far as schools? You get mixed quality. You've got some good ones and you got some average ones. So it depends where you are. You can check those out. We've got websites for all that as well. Now let's talk about the lifestyle. When I said you're going to get your best bang for the buck there, you absolutely are. You can get newer construction with the newer features and the stainless appliances and the open floor plans and granite counters. You can get all of that up there at a premium for much less than you're going to pay in the South Side, or definitely much less than St. Johns County. A lot of these communities also already have neighborhood amenities. They have pools and playgrounds and everything because they want to attract people. So they kind of give you, and the HOAs are pretty reasonable in most of these places. And again, they're not so large that you kind of get lost in there and you can never get to the pool. They're plenty big, so the pools and all the community amenities can basically, handle folks. And again, it's very budget friendly. The HOAs are about what they are around, not quite as tight as they are down in St. John's, but again, most of them are HOA governed, so you're going to have to figure out, if you want to trade that off for the HOA communities. However, I will say all this in the north side. There's also land in the north side. You can buy an acre or two and live in more of a rural setting in the north side. So you just kind of move away from the HOAs. You can have a nice place where you can put a trailer or a boat or build sheds or stuff on your land and just have that and still have that same kind of commute. So we do see a lot of the people, a lot of folks that kind of like the equestrian piece have gone up there as well because they can have some land and chickens and animals and horse, whatever. So let's see that. Now, what does it cost to live up there? So it's going to be a little bit more expensive than Arlington. So your entry point is still going to be around 200, mid twos, 250. And then the mean is going to go up to about 450. You can get a really nice house on the north side for 450. You really can. 4-bedroom, 3-bath, 2-story, with all granite and all that stuff. That's relatively new up there around that price point in lots of different areas. I should also say the zoo is up there. So for folks that like going up to Amelia Island and seeing the wild horses, or going to the zoo, which is one of the best in the country actually, that's all up there on the north side. So it's fantastic and very, very, very budget friendly. Even there's kind of a north side shopping center up there, and similar to the St. John's Town Center. This is called the River City Marketplace, and the River City Marketplace has a lot of your your Chipotle's and your Olive Gardens and your BJ Brew Houses and all those type of things. There's a lot of those up there. A lot of good shopping, a lot of good dining right up there to serve those north side folks. So you don't have to come across the bridge, which is a huge, huge, huge plus, especially if if there's any traffic. Let's talk about the last part in the renting. Very reasonable to rent up there. Entry 3-bedroom, 2-bath, about $1,750. You can get a really, really, really nice home up there for $2,500 and have the neighborhood amenities and have your 2 or 3 car garage and live just fine up there between those places. So a lot of people move to the north side to get the most bang for the buck. All right, hang in there. We're almost done. Last one. Let's talk about the west side. So the west side is much more accommodating to people that are actually going to be at NAS Jax. So NAS Jax is right there in the little pinnacle. You see the river coming up, that little protrusion over there. But the west side is a lot like the north side in Arlington as far as price points, but you probably don't want to live there if you're going to be stationed at NAS Jax. But if you think you're going to do back-to-back tours down here, a lot of people may go to the north side or the west side because they can go to both bases about the same. So let's look at the commute. So if you're on the west side, your commute's going to be about 30 to 45 minutes. If you're going to Mayport, it's going to be much shorter, about 15 minutes if you're going to NAS Jax. Super easy. Schools there, also a mixed bag, a lot like the schools in the north side. But again, you have access to those magnet programs so much. Now, lifestyle, much like Arlington, you have your old and your new, a lot of new construction out there, from condos, townhomes, single family homes, you've got it. A lot of the neighborhoods there, much like the north side, have community amenities in them as well. You have a very, 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 very strong presence or high density of people that are working in and around NAS Jax. So just anticipate that traffic a little bit at traffic hours. You know, a lot of folks go in there during the hours that the bases open up. People are showing up, same thing coming home, especially to places like Oakleaf, Middleburg, that you're going to see a lot of those folks in there. Now let's talk about what it costs to buy down there. Again, also very economical. You're looking at about $250 to $450 for the median house prices over there. That'll get you a real nice 3 or 4, even sometimes a 5-bedroom home. A lot of neighborhood amenities in those, so very similar to the north side, if you will. And then the BAH and the rent, you can rent there easily 3-2 from about $1,800 up to $2,400. Again, that'll get you a lot of a home up there. And that kind of wraps up things with the west side. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the hidden factors in this. So the commute, which I touched on a little bit, any area where you're going, it's really going to depend on the time of day. So take a look at those. You know, do I have to go over bridges to get to work? Do I have to go to bridges to get home? That type of thing. You really want to take a look. Now the schools, I talked about this. You have priority to the magnet schools. So for instance, like Douglas Anderson, it's a performing arts school. So people go there to do dance or acting or all sorts of things. Fantastic school, but you got to drive there. So if that's where your kids are planning to go, then you know, all right, you can just pick the commute very easily to that. Let's talk about the homes. In all the areas I just mentioned, you're going to have a very, very, very strong rental. So if you buy this home, and a lot of military members don't think about this, but if you buy this home, you're going to be able to rent it to another family just like you guys after you leave. So, or if you decide to sell it, you'll probably be able to sell it for where you bought it or even a little bit more, even on a short orders if you're only here for 2 or 3 years. Now, here's the caution. A lot of people, if you've never lived in Florida before, like, what about the hurricanes? Really, the only area that you significantly have to worry about the hurricanes is at the beaches. If you come over that intercoastal waterway, that's where most of the storm shelters are. You'll get a lot of wind, you'll get a lot of rain, but almost everything over there is built to stand. And through all the years we've had, intercoastal west and anything west over there has been absolutely fine. A lot of notice for their hurricanes. You'll see the last thing they do is they shut down bridges. They do a ton. Jacksonville is awesome to help you prep that. Now, I know I told you I would give you a little bit more here at the end. So just remember, and I'm going to tell you how to save some money here. So just remember, if you're coming to this area, what we hear more than anything else, we hear people that are coming to the area and they're like, I just don't know. I don't understand the area. I don't know. Okay, fine. Then a lot of people will rent for a year and then buy, because even if you're not going to be here for a long term, it's a great place to think about that generational wealth and start that generational wealth. You can buy a home here and then sell it or rent it as you go on in your military career. So I want to listen to your and my team here at Navy to Navy. We want to listen to what are your priorities. Is your priority to be closer to the school, or is it be closer to work? Is it closer to a place of worship? Do you want to be close to natural things? Do you want to be close to the zoo? Do you want to be close to the beaches? Help us understand what your priorities are, and we'll help be the expert guide as to where you're going. Now, we have at Navy to Navy Homes, we have both a sales side and a property management side. We're never going to push you to one way or another, but we can advise you to both, just like I'm saying. So if you buy today and you want to rent it tomorrow, we'll take care of that. You can be the landlord, we'll manage the home for you. Or if you want to rent today and then eventually buy, the same person that helps you rent a home and gets in there, because we will help you rent a home, then they can help you buy a home. So it's really a one-stop shop. Now here's where the big money comes in. We work with an organization called Homes for Heroes. It's my passion to help give back to you guys. I served for 24 years. You guys are still serving. We want to serve you and our entire team at Navy to Navy. We will give 25% of our commission, whatever that commission is. If we help you buy or sell a home, we're going to give that 25% commission to you back to say thank you for your service to our nation and our community. We do that for military, veterans, first responders. It's a fantastic thing. We're also going to give another 5% on your behalf to Homes for Heroes so they can help other military members. A lot of times it's military members that are in significant need, and we give that money out to them through that organization. So we're in it just like you are, and we want to give back to the military community. It's the least I can do. Again, I served for 24 years, and this is how I continue to serve. Likewise, if you're going to rent a home, we have military discounts for your application fees and everything. Now, Navy to Navy Homes is veteran owned. Most of the staff here, we'll call them, they're very strong patriots. Many of them are military spouses or folks that have just gotten out of the military. We know the VA loan like the back of our hands, and we can help you through this thing. So final piece here, use us as guides. Feel free to reach out. If you have any comments down here that you want to throw underneath the video and ask questions, I will answer those questions. I'm also here at the office most days, 9 to 5. Our staff is very easy to reach out to. We want to be a resource to you. We hope this video helps. We look forward to seeing you guys out there. And more than anything, welcome to Jacksonville.